Hi, Maria.
Hi, Carrie.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Y'all ready for this?
I am.
Good. And did you guys get any more snow yesterday?
Not enough to cover the ground. Just
Well,
some
that's good.
flurries here and there. Yeah.
Good.
We got another few inches here in Saratoga. So
Did you?
We canceled school. So
Oh, really?
yep.
Well, it's so much fun. We got about three additional inches on top of our 2 feet we've had all winter. So, but yep, it's exciting. I'm ready for spring.
I am too. I hate winter.
I don't mind it, but I hate driving in it. That's for sure. And
I hate it all around.
I hate shoveling it, but I do. I'm looking out on my back. It's just all clean, white, pure snow. It looks beautiful, but I only like it in December and maybe January, and then I'm done.
Maybe just on Christmas.
Maybe just on Christmas, yes. That would be good
just
too.
on Christmas.
Well, we'll wait for a couple more seconds and see. We should have a whole bunch jumping in. I'm not sure if they're having difficulty. Obviously, you did not have a problem jumping on.
Nope.
And John, I know you're back there. How are you doing?
Oh, doing good. I'm looking outside my window and it's snowing.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, and I just looked at the weather because supposedly it was going to be partly sunny today, a little bit sunnier tomorrow. And I'm looking at the weather and it still says partly sunny. I'm like, nope, it's not.
Nope, 100% chance of snow because that's snowing right now.
Yep.
Well,
No, doing good, doing good.
good. Anyway, well, we still have another minute. We'll see if everybody jumps on at the last second here. Just for you guys' benefit, we are recording, and I'll let everybody else know as well. Just make sure that you know that we're recording this. We'll record all of the sessions. So
It comes up when you open the link. It comes up in our screen.
oh, does it? And tells you?
Yeah, it says Carrie is recording at the moment.
Oh, good. Okay. Perfect. Now we're jumping on.
Heck yeah. Hey, Carrie, good morning. Joe, Annie.
Good
Kyle.
morning.
Morning.
There was a movie that used to do that. Good morning,
Good
Vietnam.
morning, Vietnam. Robin Williams, I remember that one.
That was a long time ago. Okay, we're just about there. Arturo, how you doing?
Good morning.
Yeah, hey.
Pretty good.
Good. Good. Techie's on. Jason's on. Of course, Joe's on. Ashley, how are you?
Great. How are you?
Doing good.
Good.
All right. I know we still have a few more that are going to be jumping on as we do this, so I'm going to get started so that we stay on time. We want to start on time. We want to try and end on time. The ending piece may be a little more challenging just depending on how the discussion goes, but we'll keep it pretty close. So welcome to our first annual management training. It's the manager. And we're excited to have you guys all be a part of this. You've been handpicked, chosen to go through the program, and we're excited to have you here. So I want to start off, as usual, with one of our culture pieces that is fitting for today, and that is build people. So we want to, and that this one says to respect and honor the individual and help their personal progression, so that you can develop and grow here better than you could anywhere else, and that you have fun, create meaningful relationships, and get paid well as you go. So that's really fitting for what we're going to be talking about, our personal progression to develop here and learn here better than you could anywhere else. That's our goal. That's what we want to achieve. So that's really what we're focused on in this program. And so let's start off. This is kind of an intro. You hopefully all have received the outline, which can change a little bit as we go through the program, but this one's an intro to the class, and then we're going to start off with getting into some of the foundation of what the program is. And so, but let's talk about a few things here. But to begin with, I want to have everybody introduce themselves. So here's what I want you to do. Give your name, which division or department or whatever you work for, and what your role is in that particular deal. So let's start off, because we do have people from other places, and we want to make sure everybody gets a chance to get to know each other. So let's start off with Maria, and I'll just kind of go around, because you don't know we're not sitting in a circle and we can't go around that way, but I'll name you and you can say your thing. So Maria.
Hey, good morning, everyone. I'm Maria. I'm in Utah. I'm part of the corporate branch, I guess. I'm the HR and operations assistant, and whatever else you guys need.
Good. Thank you.
Me.
Joe.
Yes. Hi, everybody. I'm Joe. I'm also part of, I would say, corporate. Internally, I am leading the Georgia market, and all of recruiting operations in the resource division reports into me.
Great. Ashley.
Hi, I'm Ashley. I'm also in Utah, but I'm with trades, and I'm the operations manager.
Awesome. Very good. Charles.
Good morning, everyone. Charles Moses here out of Atlanta, Georgia, the Georgia area. Work in the smart resource side as an account manager, account executive. Work alongside with Joe, Manny, Jamela, and Brandon out here. So good stuff. Looking forward to this.
Great. Thank you. Kyle.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, everybody. I'm Kyle. I work in corporate over HR and account management. Good to be here.
Good. Thank you. Jason.
Yeah, I'm Jason. I'm also from Utah. I work on the resources side, territory account executive.
Great. Thank you. Manny.
Yeah. Oh, Mary or Manny?
Manuel.
Okay. Sorry, Manny. I'm Manuel Contreras. I'm working on Georgia area, I'm more on the side for operation, working together with Jamila and Brandon, and with Charles to sales. I'm excited to start here with the Smart University and this project.
Good. Thank you. Techie.
I'm Techie. I'm in the Utah resources side, working on sales along with Jason here in Utah. At the same time, helping set up the Smart Gigs division. So
great. Thank you. Now, Maddie.
I'm Maddie. I am the recruiting lead on the Smart Search team.
Awesome. Thank you. Bree.
I'm Bree. I'm the division president of Smart Search.
Thank you. Good. John Martinez.
Hi, guys. John Martinez, VP of Account Management in Utah for Smart Resources.
Great, thank you. Mariah?
Yeah, hi everybody. My name is Mariah. I am the operations supervisor for our Smart Trades division in Utah.
Great, thank you. Arturo?
Hello, everyone. I'm Arturo and National Recruiting Director for Smart Resources.
Perfect. And Ted, I've got you in here. Let's.
Sorry, I didn't realize I was muted.
Oh, there you
Sorry,
go.
Ted Broman, I'm with corporate.
I think we all know Ted. I don't see Shantae, so maybe she'll jump on. We do have a couple of people. Melinda and Ashley Hosang won't be on today, but as I mentioned, as you guys saw as you came in, the class is being recorded so that we can make sure that if somebody misses, that we can go back and watch the recording. So a couple of things in the beginning here as we talk about the program. As you are participating and coming in, we want to make sure that we get our homework assignments done. There's reading that's going on. We're going to have some during the week. There's going to be times when we're going to actually have you pair up or get with a team of people and do some discussion, do some work outside of this class. We will be doing some breakouts in here as well, and we'll get that figured out too. But it's really important that you make sure that you do your homework ahead of time so that we have good discussions. So this class, this program is not about me lecturing or anybody else that's going to be kind of facilitating. It's not about us lecturing like you might find in a university. This is about all of us participating, and that's why you need to do the homework so that we can have a great discussion about the importance of the things and topics that we're going to be going through. So let's everybody, commit to making sure that you'll do your homework and follow the program, do the assignments, and make sure that we're ready to go for our discussion. The program will have some different things in it as we go along when it comes to each lesson that we do, and sometimes we will go over when we go through the next lesson on the documents, our culture documents. That's going to take a couple of weeks. Our goal is not to just say, okay, here's how much time we have and here's what we're doing, and if we don't get it all accomplished, too bad. We want to make sure that we learn the information, and if it takes a little bit longer and we have to go through some more on another week, we will do that. So the class is scheduled to be right around 17 or 18 weeks, but it could go 20 weeks. So it's just important that we all participate. Everybody has something good to say. We all are smart and intelligent people and have great ideas, and we want to share those with the group. So just make sure you participate. There will be times I'll call you, and just say, hey, what do you think about this? And what do you think about that? Because that's just important that we make sure everybody has a chance to say a few things in the program. All right, everybody agree to that? We're all in, right? Okay, good deal. All right, well, let's get started here as we talk about this program. And I'm sure that all of you by now have your books and are going through those. So I want to start off with a little bit of information from this book. So if you want to pull out chapter 30 in this book, and let's talk for just a second as we set the foundation for what we're going to be doing here. So there were 5 traits to great managers, and I love these books. They're all part of the same group or company, people from the same organization. They studied hundreds of thousands of people, and or thousands of people and hundreds of thousands of hours of material to find certain things that great managers do. And I love the fact that we have some clear, clarification on what a manager is and what a leader is and the importance of those things. So as you read, there were 5 traits. 5 traits. I'll just read them and then we'll talk about them. Motivation, work style, initiation, collaboration, and thought processes. So what did you get from reading this chapter? It's only, 3 pages long, but packed full of information. Was there something that jumped out at you as you read these 5 traits of great managers that you went, wow, that's really something I haven't thought about before, or something that I need to practice more? What jumped out to you as you read that? And you can raise your hand, or if you want to use the little button to do a hand raise, because I can't see everybody all at once either. So, or you might just jump in on your mic. So Jason, you had your hand up there.
Yeah, it was funny when I was going through this, it had me thinking about all of my past managers I've had over the past and which ones I would actually go back and work for again. And it said you probably only pick maybe 1 or 2 or maybe none. But it was fun to go back and actually think about each manager and their traits and what their strengths were, what their weaknesses were. So it had me thinking about that and what made a great manager. What traits and what tools did they have that actually motivated me to be a better employee? So that's what I got out of it.
Mm-hmm. And did you find that you had 1 or 2 or none that you would probably go back and work?
Yeah, I've had at least 2 or 3 that I go back and work for sure.
Okay, cool. All right. Anybody else?
And you, Carrie, obviously.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Ashley Labrum.
I really liked where they talked about most current team leaders do not have natural tendencies for managing people, and how they talked about the people management side of things really was discouraging for them. They weren't very good at it when they had the tendencies for leadership.
Yeah, that was really good. And as we dig into this, you're going to find it. So we're going to, the one book, First Break All the Rules. We're going to break all the rules. You're going to go through this program and you're going to go, wait, that's not how I was taught. That's not what I learned as I was going through other companies. This really changes a lot of things. And we've been studying as a leadership team for quite some time, and to really bring these things into our company as part of our culture. And I think that it's really important for us to understand that you're going to go through some stuff and you're going to think, wait, that's not how I've been doing it. So it's really good to get this foundation in as what are great managers, what's leadership, what's the difference between management and leadership. So good. Yeah, Ashley, did you have another comment? Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Just still has your.
I don't know how to unraise my. Yeah, no, just kidding. Figured it out. Carry on.
Charles had a comment.
Say that. Who else did?
Charles did.
Charles.
Hi, yes. So I was just real quick, Carrie, kind of like Jason, thinking back as I was reading this chapter. I had a gentleman that really just stands out, John Florentine, back in the day with Verizon Wireless. He was our director, and he would always emphasize to me as getting to be in a leadership role, management role, is Charles, listen to your people, really take notes, and if someone asks, like when you ask them, what can I do for you? How can I help you? He goes, just remember, if they tell you next time I see you, please bring me a tablet or bring me an ink pen, just something, something small or something big. He goes, remember what you're told. And the next time you see that individual, whether it's an employee of ours or a senior manager, have what they've asked for, so be prepared and just take good notes. He goes, that's how you build, rapport. They're like, he is concerned about us. He asked for this and he brought it to me.
Yeah.
I asked for, can we get an extra day off? He's working on that, just throwing something out there. But I remember that just reading this, John came to my mind as a great manager. He was very involved, very engaged, and really cared about the people and wanted everyone to succeed.
Cared and listened. Cared and listened. Those are
Yeah.
really good attributes as far as becoming a great manager. So let me just kind of throw a few more things out there. Take a moment to think about what makes someone a great manager. Now, this is in the book. So take a moment and think about what makes someone a great manager. How do they acquire the characteristics you just thought about? Are they naturally gifted to manage others, or did they learn how to become great? Those are really good questions, and it's good questions to ask yourself. How did they acquire those? It talks about this a little bit over on the next page. Their personality and thought processes. There's things that are predisposed patterns in people. We learn these over years of being exposed to the world and experiences and so forth. Genes. Now think about this. Genes, and not your Levi's, and life experience, developmental life experiences, that individuals have characteristics that make them unique. Do you guys all believe that you're unique? Or are you just, like, if you're in the sales, you're just, all of your salespeople are just alike? Or if you're managing somebody, you managers are all just alike, every one of you, or do you think that you're unique? Does everybody agree with that? We're unique, right? I love that. Being unique is so powerful. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing, to be unique. So here's a couple of questions. Again, I want you to think about this. For example, in a social setting with lots of people, do you gravitate to people you know best, or do you have an insatiable desire to introduce yourself to strangers? Okay, Bree, can you answer that question for you, just on your own, for yourself? What, between those two questions, you need to, and if you need me to read them again, I will.
So it really depends on the setting. I feel like networking events, I do actually have the desire to go introduce myself to a bunch of different people. If I'm in a social setting with people that I know, or possibly there's other people that I don't normally go out of my way, unless there's just something about them. I'll go up and say, hey, if they're in the group of people that I'm friends with and they're standing there with them, I will probably introduce myself.
Okay. So that's again your unique pattern, right?
Right.
And that's the important thing is, do you have those? At work, would you rather stay focused on completing a project or be involved in a lot of projects at the same time? Techie, can you answer that one? And you're on mute. There you go.
Yeah, I don't like doing a lot of projects. I kind of just want to just focus one at a time, because then you actually get stuff done. So that's just my opinion.
Okay. So thank you. And so as managers, do we go, oh, wait a minute, Techie, no, you need to focus on a lot of projects because, that's just what we require of you. So these are unique patterns that people have, and we need to recognize those unique patterns that people have in their life. Do you enjoy the complexity of people, or do you love the complexity of ideas? Ashley Labram, what do you think? Do you enjoy the complexity of people or the complexity of ideas?
For me, it's people. I'm really very much a people person, and how people tick more so than like overall philosophy ideas. Yeah,
good. So again, see, now some of you are sitting here answering that question and it's completely different. Okay. Is that right or wrong? No, it's who you are. That's the whole point behind this chapter. That's what you are. That's who you are. The most concise summary from this research is that about half of great managing is rooted in hardwired tendencies, those things that are inside of you, and the other half comes from experiences and ongoing development. Okay, so as we think about this, again, this is we're building a foundation here when it comes to the program and what we're going to be talking about. When it comes to our management style, our culture, what we're looking for, this is the foundation piece. So on the last page, 128, it says the good news is that most organizations have the management talent they need inside their companies, and the right assessment system can find it. We believe that. And, you know, all of you are here because we feel like there's these things that we see. Now, that doesn't mean when we finish this program that you necessarily will become a manager or that you will become a leader. And we'll talk more about that as we get into the 4 keys. But we have the talent in our company. We have that ability. So there were 4 things, and we'll finish up this section. There were 4 things that that they talked about. Maddie, can you read number 1 for us?
You're on page 128, right?
Page 128, and it's right there. It said there's 4 things right at the end.
Yeah. So use a scientifically designed and validated instrument to assess management prospects on the 5 traits of great managers: motivation, work style, initiation, collaboration, and thought process.
Okay. So using something now in the back of your book, if you haven't noticed, in the back of your book, oh, I can't show it because I have a green screen. There you go. Thank you. You can take that test. Okay. This is a test that will help you with strengths. What are your strengths? So it's part of buying the book and having the program. So we want everybody to be able to do that. So that's that one piece. Number 2, let's see. Hang on just a second. I want to make sure I've got Maria, can you read number 2 for us, please?
Give talented individuals contributions, opportunities to lead projects and teams. Give them a shot. Watch them in action and make note of who can lead winning teams.
Yeah, so give them a shot. That's really good. I like that a lot. If we're gonna have leaders, we gotta test them and see, and you have to test yourself and see whether it's a good fit for you too. All right, number 3, Mariah, will you read number 3 for us?
Don't base your next manager decision solely on tenure or success in a non-managerial job. Becoming a manager shouldn't be an automatic rite of passage.
Yeah. Now, great statement. This breaks the rules. Everybody thinks, oh, well, I've been here for a long time, or I have this experience. I should automatically be a manager. They should promote me because I have all of this stuff. This is conventional thinking. This is traditional thinking. So it's not the way we should do things. So I love that statement. All right, the last one, Shantae, you're on mute, but can you read that last one for us?
Sure. Make it desirable for highly successful individual contributors to continue to excel and gain status in their role. Look closely at the economic value of your most successful individual contributors. Your best should be able to make more income than many of your managers because of their value.
Yeah. Yeah. So you guys right now, this program is the coach's path. We also have another one called, it's basically, taking the people that are great performers and they love what they do, and it's called the hero's path. The hero's path. We want to help people. If they love what they do, why are we going to pull them out of that and throw them into something that they're not good at or they don't want to do just because they did perform well, and we think, well, let's put them in this position. That's not how we want to do things. Okay. All right, good. So that helps us. This kind of gets the foundation. This is good. So let's go over to the other book now. First, break all the rules. We should be in chapter 2. And we're going to have a really good discussion. We've got a lot of material to kind of go through. So I want to make sure that we cover everything that we need to today. Again, foundational. We will talk about the 4 keys, but very generically or very generally, because the whole, this whole program will get deep into the 4 keys as we go along. So I'm not sure. I'm using an electronic Kindle. Mine says page 61, but what is it in the hardbound book? Same page? Okay. So words from the wise, the very first sentence says, how do the best managers in the world lay the foundation of a strong workplace? What do you think about that? How do the best managers in the world lay the foundation of a strong workplace? Any thoughts on that? Joe, what about you? Sorry, somebody.
Oh, yeah. I was just saying that one of the key words from this chapter was catalysts. Managers are the people who, kind of speed up the process of development for each individual. And so as a manager, it's our job not to change people, but to, help people understand their innate talents and work towards that and work toward their strengths. And so if as managers, we are working towards people's strengths, then that's why, we serve as a strong background for the work.
So, yeah, thank you. And I think that it's important, and we'll get into the catalyst section here in just a second that Techie was talking about. It's really important to realize that, we have to look at things a little bit differently. And as we think about all of the material, all of the books, all of the classes, they mentioned that there's just so many different programs. And how do you choose, which one's right, which one's wrong? There's so much to kind of decipher through. Again, we've chosen this for a number of reasons. One of those was that Gallup, has done so much research on this, and it's not just somebody writing another book, but the research is tremendous, and really kind of opens things up for us and shares with us, scientific data that kind of gives us, a much better place to work from. The other part is it really resonated with our group, and we just felt like this was the direction we wanted to go. And again, it's breaking rules. It's breaking the norm, the conventional. As a manager, and these 3 questions were in the appendix. So over on page 62, as a manager, which would you rather have, an independent, aggressive person who produced 1.2 million in sales, or a congenial team player who produced about half as much? Please explain your choice. I'm gonna pick on Joe for that one. Can you take that one on?
Well, the finance guy in me says more revenue is more revenue, right? But there's more to that story that this doesn't exactly explain, right? Because if this is a high producing, for lack of a better word, asshole, then that's going to be a difficult person to work with, especially if they do not treat their colleagues with respect. And I would take the congenial half of producer over the high producing asshole most of the time. And yet on the other side of that, it's difficult because we are here to have financial success. And yet what you do and who you do it with matters. And so those are the tough things and those tough decisions. And so it's our job to say, all right, well, if we have someone that's acting that way, can a good manager help that person to maybe correctively behavior? Because we all know that maybe high producing people, sometimes they're a little bit less, they're more on the arrogant side because they're very driven by particular things. So what motivates them and drives them? And can you get that to be converted over to someone who can work with the team well? Or do you have to put them in a closet, literally, and keep them away from the rest of the staff so they don't, upset the staff? They're tough decisions. So what's my choice? Well, there's more facts that I would need to find out before I just blanket statement say goodbye. But I think that we'd all agree that I would rather work with someone that wants to be there than someone who's making it miserable for everyone.
Yeah. So let me clarify now. Now that we do need more detail, but in this particular statement, it didn't say that they were an a-hole. It just said that they were independent and aggressive. Okay. So if you have an independent and aggressive salesperson producing at a high level, as opposed to a congenial individual team player that produced about half as much. So
I take the high producer every time because I do believe that person can be worked with.
Yes, I agree. So I agree also with you that you would have to get more detail, but obviously we'd want to have that before before we made that decision. So, but based on the information we're getting right here, that's where we would be at. We would want the high producer. Okay, the second one, you have an extremely productive employee who consistently fouls up the paperwork. How would you work with this person to help him or her be more productive? Now, the answers or the data that they got from Gallup is in the appendix. If you haven't read the appendix, you should go read it. But Kyle, can you take that one on? You have an extremely productive employee who consistently fouls up the paperwork. I know we've had this happen before. I can think of a very specific person who was really good, but he just, they just fouled up the paperwork. So how would you work with this person to help them be more productive?
Well, I haven't read the appendix yet, but my initial thought on that is I'd want to find out what was going on with the paperwork. First of all, there's plenty to praise with all the other good work that's going on. And so we wouldn't want to change anything there, but we would want to look at what are the root causes of messing up the paperwork. Maybe it's not a paperwork kind of person and they can be productive in something else. And maybe we pull the paper away from the person and keep them productive in the other things is my initial thought. Or we continue to train and develop that person on the paperwork side and see where that goes.
Yeah. Now, any of you read the appendix?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I read it, and Kyle's answer was pretty much spot on to what
Yeah,
I
it
said.
was, huh? It
Yeah.
was. So I like that. That was really good. So Kyle, you did well. You didn't even read the appendix. You have two managers. One has the best talent for management you have ever seen. The other is mediocre. Now, listen, this is really a good analogy here or situation. There are two openings available. The first is a high-performing territory. The second is a territory that is struggling. Neither territory has yet reached its potential. Where would you recommend the excellent manager be placed and why? Okay. Bree, what do you think?
Well, if there is a high performing territory and the second one is struggling, I would want my best performer to probably go to the high performing territory because we want it to continue to grow. Because I feel like if you were to put the struggling manager in that territory, then it would I feel like would go downhill. And I feel like with the other manager, the one that's struggling, I don't know if I would keep the manager in the role because I don't want to just keep that other territory just stagnant. I would want to find someone who could bring up the territory at the same level as the other manager who's really talented, I would think. But I know that sometimes you want to coach these people to see if you can bring them up to a level, which would be the first initial idea would be to see if we can coach them and use their strengths first before we just manage them out.
Good.
That's what I would think.
Shantae, how did she do with the appendix?
She did very well.
Yeah, that was great. So putting your high performer in the high performing area is the place we'd want to go. And you're exactly right. The other person, we want to look for somebody that could, be very talented at turnarounds and pulling territories back up. So perfect answer. That's good. So again, these are great scenarios to think about as managers. How do we take these situations and what do we do? And what do we do with people when we find that they're, not in the right place? How do we work with all this? So let's go over to page 64. What great managers know. I love the fact that it talks about, and there's some very simple things, what great managers know and what great managers do. Okay. And it gives you some simple answers, some very simple answers.
Can I just chime in real quick? Carrie?
Yes.
And this is a little seemingly off topic maybe, but when we were reading in the It's the Manager book, I just was really struck to think about what is that managers do and the whole nature of organizing the work of a team. I mean, that's kind of what, if you think of a business down to its simplest form and it was just you and you washed cars or you cut lawns or something, there's just you and you do the work. That's all that you do, the work. And our only work is recruiting. And so we want more people to work with, so we have sales. We need to keep track of the money that comes in and out and bill people, so we have finance, but that's not the work. That's just to support the work. We need to follow laws and get paid and do stuff, so we have HR. But any level of management is just, especially if it's not even in recruiting, a recruiting manager is at least managing the work of the work that we do, but we don't do sales. So now you got a sales manager, a person organizing the work of the people that are there to get more work, or an accounting manager that's organizing the work of the people that are there to keep track of the work. And so you realize, one, how expensive and dangerous, I guess, you could get as an organization to just continue to get more support things and just be really clear, what is the work? What is it that we are hired to do? And then also think, why? Why are they hiring us to do this work versus somebody else or doing it in-house? But I do think it's, and you think of people's strengths, there's another type of strength thing I look at where people, it's called, it doesn't matter what it's called, but it's basically how far out in life people live their lives. Some people kind of live their lives for the next few days. Some people live their lives for the next 10 years. Some people are 10-year out, and then everything in between. And to be a manager, you can't live your life. You can't be like, well, what do the next 3 days bring? That's kind of a worker needs to do that. Now, there's nothing wrong with one or the other, but anyway, I just think about the nature of a manager. It's like, well, it's their boss, but ultimately what they're doing is not being the boss. It's to try to organize the work and to say, I need to add value because I've got 5 workers here or 10 workers, and I need to make it so that they do more. They're more productive and more efficient, such that it justifies my existence. Otherwise, there's no point for you to exist if you can't make that work better and organize the work better. I don't know if that made any sense to anybody. I just was thinking as we were back on the It's the Manager, just step back and think, why are there managers? What do they do? I think we're all just used to it. It's like, well, everyone's got a boss, but we don't have to have a boss. No. But the premise is that we can organize the people and make them more effective and more efficient and more productive and produce more, such that it pays for me as the manager. And now you got a manager on top of a manager. What about a manager of managers, or in my case, a manager of managers? I mean, it's like, what am I doing that adds enough value add, going back to just the work? Because now there is, I'm not dismissing sales or accounting or anything else. It's just realized that's all support for the work, which is in our case to recruit people and have them show up on site or at the job if it's a placement, or that we put up good resumes that people will accept for a direct hire. So you just have to think about, okay, where am I adding value and what is it, and how am I organizing the work of others, and which then speaks to these things, why they say, it's influencing people and motivating, back to that chapter 30 or whatever it was. Is think about that in terms as you come across these things that we say, hey, here's what a good manager does or doesn't do.
I think that's really good. I think it's important for us in understanding what is it we do. What do we do best in this company, and what are we really good at? And so everything does support that. It comes down to the fact that we recruit people to put on jobs. Everybody has a part to play in accomplishing that goal, in accomplishing that task. And I think that's good. That's really good for us to look at as we talk about, what great managers know and what great managers do. So as we look at hiring people and motivating people and so on, we have to think about what Ted was just saying. What do we do and how do we support that best in the role that we have because we have different divisions, and we have, you know, we have sales, and we have operations, and we have HR, and we have finance, and we have, you know, corporate, and so on. All of these have roles, but every single division still all comes down to, we bring people in and put them on jobs. We recruit people and we put them on jobs. So thank you. That was really good. I think that that's important for us to have that as part of that foundation. So I liked, and it fits well with what we're going to talk here. I like the fact, I love the story of the scorpion and the frog. Why was that important? Why was the scorpion and the frog discussion? Anybody remember the story, and do you have a comment on what that means? Okay, sorry, there was a hand up. Hang on. Bree.
Jason Bush has got one, and Bree's got one.
So Bree.
So in the story, they were talking about the frog was concerned about taking the scorpion over the, I think it was the water. And he was worried about being stung, and the scorpion promised he wouldn't sting, but he ended up obviously stinging the frog. And the thought behind it is that's just what the scorpion is meant to do. And that is part of who that they are. And sometimes it's hard to just change somebody. You can try to, it's like the thought of being able to coach someone to do certain things, but sometimes it's who they are and you can't change that.
Yeah, right. Jason, and then we'll come back to Maria.
Yeah, I got the same thing out of that as Bree did. Also, I also got the, you know, the idea that you can't carry people either. I mean, you know, if Carrie really liked me, wanted me to succeed, started doing everything for me, and started to try to just carry me along, it's not doing him or I any good, because I'm going to stay the same. I'm going to stay stagnant. I'm not going to change unless, you know, a good manager actually gives me the tools to succeed, teaches me how to do it, and then leads by example. He doesn't try to carry somebody along and hoping that they'll catch on and finally do it, is what I got out of it.
Yeah, good. Good. Maria?
So basically, I'm going to sum what Bree and Jason said. A lot of times as managers, we try to take an employee and build them to what we want them to be built to, but we don't take in consideration what they really are. I don't know if that makes sense. Not everyone can learn and grow up a ladder. And a lot of times we just kind of give it to them just because, you know, it's the scorpion. We're just going to give the scorpion a ride because, you know, he said we can trust him, but they haven't really done anything to trust them with.
Yeah.
And I could be just babbling.
No,
that's what I got from it.
Was there anybody else queued up?
I don't.
Well, let me add something quickly to what Maria said. I think it's good, is that I think most of the time what we do as managers is we when we go, let's say, hire a manager, we look for someone that's just like us, kind of. And maybe you're like, well, I don't do that, but I think to a degree we all do, some of us more than others. And I think the key is there's more than one good way to be a scorpion or a frog or a manager or a salesperson. And I think we tend to kind of say, well, we have to do it this way. And I think, and so we try to force a person to be a little mini me and kind of be a version of us. And in reality, we need to find people in it. We do need to find someone that can be a salesperson or can be a recruiter or can be an account manager, an accountant, or so we need to find the right strengths, but there is more than one way to do it. And it's your way, and the way you did it when you were that, or the way you think it should be done isn't necessarily the only way or the right way. And I think sometimes as managers, we get in our own way because we have a fixed notion and we just sit there trying to push that person to be something that they're not, and maybe they don't have to be.
Yeah.
The key is at the end of the day that we get the task done in a way that's agreed upon. You know, what does success look like and what is it that you have to accomplish? And as long as you do that within the bounds of stuff, then it maybe doesn't matter.
yeah, what needs to be done and how it's to be done are two different things. And it, you know, we talk about this in this chapter specifically, is it's not, you should allow people to do things with their own personality, you know, kind of get out of their way, give them the right resources and tools. And so I think it's really, really important that we understand that. That's a really, again, a very conventional way of thinking. And we have to break that conventional way of thinking and saying, hey, just because I did it this way, you know, if somebody else comes in and can produce and do it in a different way, but give us the same outcomes, why should I hold them back and force them into a mold? Because there shouldn't be a mold. We need to break those molds. I think that was good. That's good. Charles, did you have a comment?
I did, but between you and Tad, y'all hit a lot of what I was going to kind of throw out there. So I'm good. Thank you.
Techie?
Yeah, I was just thinking, just reviewing this chapter, going over, we can't rely on not necessarily potential. I think as managers, there's a lot of pride and the golden rule to see potential, envision somebody in a certain place and whatnot. But I also think there's a little ego and pride as well at times to say, hey, maybe I did get the wrong person on this bus. Maybe I did choose the wrong role for this individual. And sometimes there's a little heartburn to almost admit that. And, I believe there's some hesitancy there at times to say, this is not the right fit for this role. But I think there's always opportunity to draw that talent and to assign that person to the right role once the managers figure out, okay, these are your innate talents. This is where you're most productive. Let's put you in a better place as opposed to where.
So I'm sure nobody here is going to make a mistake in hiring, right? You're going to make mistakes. It's just nature, but we have tools and ideas here that will help us. We're still going to have situations. And then as great managers, we do, like Techie said, we can start understanding, where they would be a better fit and we place them. So let me just hit this piece here because I thought it was really good. Page 65, halfway down, it says, people don't change that much. Don't waste time trying to put in what was left out. Try to draw out what was left in. That is hard enough. It's not easy to take a look at your team, the people that you're, helping to understand those talents and those strengths, and to draw more of that out. We have a tendency to really put things in a box. So we need to, really look at each individual. And as good managers, that's what we need to do. What is their unique function in a company, and what role do they play? So again, no one knows what being a good manager is anymore. Management has kind of lost its way, and Techie talked about this a little bit just a minute ago about being a catalyst. If you go to page 68, this really covers your role as a manager. Really opens this up. The manager role is to reach inside each employee and release his unique talents into performance. Now, you don't have to raise your hand on this, but are you doing that? Are you reaching inside each employee and releasing their unique talents into performance? Or are we following a script that says, here's what you need to do, and here's the way you need to do it? Multiplied 1,000-fold, this one by one role is the company's power supply. Imagine if all of us here could follow that little piece, that we become that catalyst, how much we could really do in the company. In this sense, the manager role is the catalyst role. And as the catalyst, with all catalysts, the manager's function is to speed up the reaction between two substances, thus creating the desired end product. Okay, so that paragraph, this explains what we're supposed to be doing. Okay, when hundreds of managers play this role well, the company becomes strong. one employee at a time. So think about the people that you manage, and or if you're not managing other people within the company, how would you go in and, you know, to really help release those things? How do you find out what their talent is, you know, talents and strengths are? But that's what we need to excel at as managers. That's what great managers do. Any comments on that specific piece? Because it is powerful. This really lays the foundation for these, you know, keys and everything we're going through. How do you feel good about that? Are you working towards that? Is this eye-opening for you? Any thoughts on that particular paragraph or sentences that we just read? Arturo, how about you? What do you feel about that?
I think it's very important to recognize the strengths and the weaknesses of the people that we work with. In that way, we can develop them, right? You can try to teach them the way that you were taught, and the way that you got the information, and the way that you understand the information. But trying to make a copy of yourself is not always the best, because the same blind spots are going to be there. So I think if you are able to identify people's strengths and develop them on that way, they will be able to recognize your blind spots and improve them.
Yeah. Yeah, Maria, did you have a comment as well?
I did. I was going to use myself as an example. Many years before Kyle moved me to HR, I was a recruiter for West Jordan and West Valley office. And at one point, Visible was our biggest client. We had 100+ people there, and we didn't have an on-site recruiter. And we were really desperate to get someone on site. And I remember Kyle coming to me and be like, hey, so your name was thrown out there, like, would you want to be an on-site recruiter? And I remember Kyle telling me like the positives of being with it. And he actually gave me the opportunity to tell him, like, I would not be a good on-site recruiter. On-sites are not for me. Like, I don't think I'd be here today if Kyle would have just pushed the idea of putting me at the on-site at Visible, because being an on-site isn't for everyone. You know, someone else may have thought, hey, Maria would be a good fit for here, but Kyle allowed me to express myself and allowed me to grow my strengths in other departments.
That's right. And that's a really important aspect, and we need to do more of that. I have from my past, I used to work for a company called SOS Staffing, and we had our highest performing salesperson. She made so much money. She was amazing. And what do you think that the management team did with her?
They moved her to management.
Yeah,
and then
they moved her to management, and they promoted her to in you know, in something that she was not proficient in, and she failed, and she left the company. Well, after a period of time, maybe a year or two, I think it was, they got her to come back, and she said, I will come back on one condition, that you do not put me into management. Let me do what I do best. I sell, and I make a lot of money for the company and me, and I love doing that. And to this day, that's what she does. This was many years ago, and she's still doing that thing. She didn't need the status. She didn't need, you know, the title. She wanted to do what she wanted to do best, and it really served well. So yeah, this is really important. As we get into, you know, the 4 keys, which we're going to talk in detail, I just want to mention a couple of things. I thought these were really important, the 4 keys. Conventional wisdom is digging in the wrong place. That's conventional wisdom. So here are the 4 things, and you read them. Select a person, set expectations, motivate the person, and develop the person. So in conventional forms, they would say, select a person based on his experience, intelligence, and determination. That's how we interview. Okay, that's conventional. Set expectations by defining the right steps. Ted just mentioned this. Defining the right steps. Well, the right steps for who? Okay, motivate the person. Conventional says by helping them identify and overcome their weaknesses. And number 4, develop the person conventionally by helping them to learn and get promoted. Isn't that what every company does? Here, let's teach you something and let's get you promoted. We got to promote you. And people think, well, if I'm going to get anywhere with this company, I got to be promoted. That is so wrong in what, really how things should flow. So let's talk about how it really should work. When selecting someone, they select for talent, not simply experience, intelligence, or determination. Those can be part of it, but we're selecting for talent. When setting expectations, they define the right outcomes. This is what Ted was talking about, not the right steps. What are the outcomes we're shooting for? And then you are going to take your talent and you're going to make that happen. When motivating someone, they focus on strengths, not on weaknesses, pulling more out of them. Remember what it says, don't waste time trying to put in what was left out. Try to draw out what was left in. And finally, when developing someone, they help them find the right fit, not simply the next rung on the ladder. I hate the next rung on the ladder format. That is such a disservice to the company and to the people in the company. It's not about the next rung on the ladder. It's not about status. It's not about title. I know we think that that's important sometimes, and conventional ways tell us that that's important, but it's not the important thing. It's about helping people pull out more of the talents and strengths that they have and have them be doing things they love to do, like this lady that I know at SOS Staffing, and really producing at the high level, and they love doing it. That's what we're striving to do. What are your thoughts on what you read about the 4 keys and the difference between conventional and what we're striving to do with the catalyst role? Ashley?
I really, really like where they talk about focusing on strengths and not weaknesses. If you look at studies, people who are shamed, and it's unintentional, right? You're trying to help them grow out of their weaknesses, but it almost always results in shame. And so people who are in a shame space, they can't perform at any sort of high level. But if you push away from the shame and really focus on what they're good at and pull that out of them, they're going to perform at a much higher level because they no longer are like fighting that shame spiral inside.
Yeah. In fact, they talked about a manager who was doing fantastic, and then they did some 360-degree, leadership survey thing and put him on this program, and he's like, "What are you talking about? Where did you get this information?" "Oh, we did this survey, and these are the responses." That just messed up. We're focusing on the wrong things. So it also talked about, there was a hospitality story, and it talked about how they all worked to doing this big team way of doing things. Not that you shouldn't have teamwork, but if you read the story, what came out of that story? What happened when they changed and kind of went this one way instead of focused on people's talents and strengths? What happened in that company? Jason?
Go ahead, Techie. I think he was going to say something.
Oh, it was Techie. Okay, sorry.
Oh, no, it didn't work out. I mean, the manager was trying to be super innovative, have this idea of a self-managed team and role, but they felt because it was confusing and wasn't clear, and they didn't really define or the outcome for each of those team members until it was sold. So that's what happened.
Yeah, so people who had talents in housekeeping, they didn't want to work the front desk, but now they're forced to work the front desk. And now it's okay to learn some other things to help when somebody, you know, if there's a shortage and we have to kind of step in, it's okay to kind of understand. But to say, okay, you're a housekeeper, that's what you love doing, you're fantastic at it, but I need you to also do all of these other things, and we're going to rotate and you're going to do them. Okay. Joe, I don't know if you remember any of this. I just learned this from some other people. That's kind of the Robert Half, you know, wasn't that how they did things? You had to learn all of those things, and you were going to rotate schedules to make that happen. Was that right?
Yeah, it's there was a lot of challenges, but you're right. that was one among many. So
yeah. So I have two friends. Joe was one of those, and another guy up in Ogden who used to work for Robert Half, and he hated it. He's like, I'm not good at this part. Why are they forcing me to do this? He didn't last very long, and it's just to me it's just a bad way. So you guys, as we think about this, remember the 4 keys, and we're going to delve into these as we go through the program. Select a person, set expectations, not how to do it, but what are the outcomes? Motivate the person and develop the person. That's what we are supposed to be doing. We know certain things and we do certain things, and this chapter explained them very simply and very easy to understand. And our focus should be those 4 keys. And again, we'll get very deep into those keys as we move along. But I thought that the discussion for all of us, again, to get away from conventional and to really start focusing on talents and strengths, and even yourself. Like, I've asked this to everybody that I hire, and as I go through the sales team and so forth, tell me what your talents are. What are your strengths? And a lot of you have been through some of my training, even Ashley. I remember Ashley, I asked the same question to her. What are your talents and strengths? It's not an easy answer because we're not focused on that in companies. We're focused on, here's my experience, here's my resume, here's what I've done in the past. What are your talents and strengths? And you need to know what that is for you. You need to identify it. You need to describe it. And then you can also work on bringing that out in other people. So let's finish up. Any other thoughts that you have on the chapter as a whole, what it kind of did for you as you read through it? I want to start, I'm just going to pick a couple of people, but then I want you to also jump in. Manny, when you read this chapter, how did it kind of resonate with you? What did you think? This is Manuel. What are your thoughts?
So about this charter, I'm focused on the that we the talking at last is the select person, sex expectation, motivate the person, and develop the person. These four states is amazing. State to help the people. You know, like you say, I hate the titles too on the company. Like if you are VP or not VP operation something. So if you are on the company, I think if you have experience in this company and somebody coming and new in the company, you hire somebody, the best that you can do for the company is teach this person to fit on the right position, you know, motivate the person, give it to him the history on the company, on that you have it on this company that, on my case, I can give you example when we hired Brandon, I give it to him all my history about this company. And he said, wow, you have more than 7 years working this company. You start at Pickers and you're now in this position. Yeah. So if you can do it, I can help you to do it too, you know?
Yes,
so
good.
I think so that's I would take it for this charter.
Very good. Thank you. That was good. One other person, Mariah, as you read the chapter, what jumped out at you, and as you look at all of this, you know, what do you think in your mind about climbing the rung of corporate to get higher and higher? As you read this chapter, how does that specifically kind of to ring to you?
I really like this chapter. I think that was probably one of the things that stood out to me most was when it talked about like climbing the ladder of corporate, and how all that works. And I thought it was cool that they kind of talked about like everything should be based off like experience and how really like you don't necessarily need to climb that ladder. And I really liked your story, Carrie, about the lady who went into management and she failed, and so I thought it was a really cool like paradigm shift kind of to put people where they excel and where they're going to do good so they can therefore develop others and help other people climb the ladder in a way that works for everybody.
Yeah, and so again, and we'll learn about this as we get into the 4 keys deeper, the hero's path. How many people out there do we have that should be on that hero's path? You'll make more money than any manager, okay? If we do it right, the hero's path is a fantastic way, and we need to focus on that. And again, not about status or climbing the corporate ladder. So good answer, very good. Any other final thoughts from any of you that do you want to share before we close?
Yeah, I'd like to just mention that this is really truly understanding the audience. And we can do that to a degree by really good one-to-one meetings with people and listening and hearing what people have to say. But I think also we have to be very good evaluators to see how does what they say match up to what they do too. So it's helping people understand themselves as well. And I think that takes time, but it takes curiosity and interest in people, and working together to really dig deep and find out what those innate abilities are. I think that's quite a process, and it's exciting and it's fun to do.
Is it worth it?
Absolutely worth it.
It's worth it. Now, in the book, in this chapter, it mentioned some of the Q12 questions. They brought out 6 of the Q12 questions. We didn't get a chance to kind of cover those, but we will as we go through the book. But those Q12 questions are really a major part of understanding people and what their talents and strengths are. So as we get into the Q12, we'll know a little bit more and kind of dig into that and learn how to ask. And each of you will answer the Q12s, and all of us will. It's just really, really important. And they're fantastic questions. When you read them, you're like, man, I need to be asking these questions all the time. Why am I not asking these? Some of you have already done so. Some of you as managers have already been, doing that. But this is powerful in being able to bring that out. So, all right. Any other comments? I love the cat behind Maria.
Sorry. Whenever I'm on the
No,
chair, he needs
you
to
don't have-
jump up there.
You don't have to be sorry. I think it's cool. So,
I
okay.
just wanted to make sure that everybody had the 4 culture documents that you talked about, or if you'd be sending them out so that for next week.
Yeah, I was just gonna go through the homework and talk about. Thank you, Ted. So next week we're going to talk about the 4 culture documents. I will be sending those out to you. We're also going to be delving into the 1-page goal sheet that the company has, and I'll send that out to you as well. This next lesson on these 4 documents plus the 1-page sheet, it will probably take us a few weeks, at least, I would say at least 2 weeks to go through. Now, these documents are fantastic. We've all had a chance to kind of interject in them. I think they're amazing things that we do. So please read them, do the best you can to absorb them, and we'll have a great discussion on those documents. So that'll be our next week's assignment. Again, if you miss something or you want to go back and watch the recording and catch up on something, I think that's great. We're going to put that onto a Smart University YouTube channel, which I'll send out to you so that you'll know where to find the documents or where to find the recordings, and then we'll just keep that process going. So if there's nothing else.
One last quick thing.
Yeah.
When you read the documents, one of them is called the People Principles, and in there's a star chart at the bottom of it. And I just want to kind of really study that and think about everything we talked about today. I think it really fits in quite a bit of it into there. It doesn't talk about strengths or anything. It's got performance and attitude and alignment, but it's pretty interesting to me how all that fits in with what we've discussed. So just a point to kind of really look about the star chart and think about today's discussion.
Yes, and we will go into the star chart, Ted. And I don't know if you want to touch on it while we're doing those, while we're doing people principle.
No, it was good. We can wrap it up today.
Well, I mean, when we get into it in the next couple of weeks, we do have it listed in one of the other lessons to have you kind of explain the star chart, but we might just do it during that. I don't think it was during these 2 weeks that we're going to do with the documents, but we may change that and have you do that. So,
okay,
cool. All right. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate your participation. And again, just, I'll get this material out to you so you can start reading it, and we'll have a great discussion on the document. So thanks for joining, and look forward to our next discussion. You guys have a great weekend, and we'll see you all next week. Same time, same channel. See you later.
Bye.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Kevin. Bye.